Yo, what's up with it? It's your boy Noonie. It's Leo in the third house, and we back with another reading.
Yo, what's up with it? This your boy Noonie, and this Leo in the third house. Back with another reading. Back with another pick a card reading. We got 4 options today. Gonna be asking the question, what's your vibe and how do you make other people feel? So it's a 2-part question. So we're gonna be figuring out your vibe, like what energy do you emanate from you and how does it make other people feel? All right. So I got 4 options from things around my house. So I got this Parmesan cheese. It ain't been opened yet, so don't tell me it need to be in the refrigerator. Chill out. It's not even the fresh grated Parmesan. It's the dry grate, or dried Parmesan. I got pile 2, is the Sriracha. Pesto, pile 3. And this pure Nancy Star extract. That's pile 4. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Take a second now. Pick your pile or piles. And then I'm gonna get started on pile 1. All right. Boom, pile 1. So, pile 1, what is your vibe? Bit wild, free, okay. Nurturing. Get expansive energy, peaceful. You're a bit impatient, a bit hasty, reckless, yeah, okay. Okay, but you do, all right. It's not reckless. It's just a bit impatient. You have the energy of being very excitable, very outgoing. It's kind of like when you show up, you're kind of like I want to say like you get the attention in the room, but it's more of like a subtlety. It's like you can bounce out because you have like a natural level of confidence. We have confidence here. So I'm getting like you're very much not necessarily a showstopper, but people can't miss you. All right. Like you really stand out. This is like the energy of it. It's like a free spirit in a sense. People's vibe is they pick up like you're very like connectable. I say connectable, but what's that word I'm looking for? Like sociable. You're very sociable. All right, because you also have Cancer here. So you could be a Cancer, you could be a Sagittarius, you could be a Virgo. I got Cancer energy again. So there's this energy of you being like, they think of you as slightly strategic or maybe over analytical of other people with the 7 of Swords. It makes them feel like maybe they're not seeing things quite clearly, because you also have this Hermit energy here. Somehow it makes them feel like, makes them feel a bit insecure. That's what I'm feeling like. Like it feels like there's some things in them that are being exposed, that they're not quite at peace with themselves, because it's like you get a lot of attention. It's kind of the energy that shows up here. It's like you get a lot of attention. You have abundance here. You have confidence here right next to it. And it's just a state of like peacefulness. So it's like you attract people by being very comfortable, very soothing, but being very sociable, very talkative. You're a person who kind of like changes their perspective in a sense. Maybe like they look at people who are very nurturing as being maybe more relaxed or more chilled, whereas you're very like just talkative, outgoing. You're very communicative. But it is like a sense of like, because you got clean it up here in reverse, and usually that's about like getting rid of things that aren't like beneficial to you, or like getting rid of habits and patterns that aren't serving you. So they kind of feel like your vibe comes off a little bit like it's a little bit brash, if I could say it, like a little bit untailored, as if it could be like blunt, but it's not quite blunt. It's like you don't mean anything by it when you say what you say to people. And so the vibe that you get is like when you're just being you and you're just being free, you don't mean to like infringe on other people. It's just that by you being so like nonchalant or carefree, it kind of like makes other people feel a bit insecure or a bit closed off, where they're not able to like express themselves. It's like an energy almost of like you being of the sun, like of you being a bit larger than life, because abundance, Jupiter is an expansive planet, and it usually represents being larger than life, or just being like large in mass, or just it's expansive. Anything that it touches creates a growth, creates an expansion to it. And so it's right next to you and your loved ones are safe, and it's right next to caretaking, and it's right next to confidence. So I'm seeing that all as in like there's an abundance of the way that you take care of yourself. There's an abundance of the way that you take care of others. And people can pick that vibe up that you have a very nurturing and caring spirit. And they see that you have a lot of confidence. There's a lot of personal power. Anytime I see this solar plexus, that's about personal power. But it says confident here. So it's like you're a bright light. And, you know, because like I said, this is showing out. Like it's a lot of yellow here, a whole lot of yellow. So you have a lot of like independence and a lot of confidence and belief in yourself. And it pretty much radiates. A lot of people notice that. Then you have here a lot of intuitive abilities. So you have a natural ability. And then you have blue here as well. So this is your clarity, intuitive, your third chakra, your third eye chakra, which has to do with your intuitive abilities and clarity. So they're seeing you as a person who has a lot of inner power and a lot of intuitive abilities, and it may so either having to do with taking care of yourself. You know, I don't see too much of the hermit can be a person who takes care of themselves, and I would look at this person as a person who takes care of themselves too. So I guess in your physical appearance, you look like a person who cares about their health or cares about their body image in some sense. You know, you could be a bit sensitive, but cancers normally tend to be a bit round. You know, so you could have nice curves. Virgo does tend to usually like a high vibrating Virgo does tend to be a bit and on the workout side, they tend to take care of their energy, take care of themselves. And then you have a lot of air energy here. So you're very active. Like the energy comes off as very active, you know, and very self-aware. You know, like you're very self-aware and very self-assured. And that's the vibe that a lot of people get from you. It's just like you're very cool, you're very calm, you're okay with where you are. But at the same time, when they interact with you, you're like, you know, a ball of fire. Not a ball of fire, but like, you know, like a ball of energy, you know. And then if any cases be needed, you know, you seem like a bit hasty or impatient with the way that you do things. Like you're not one to kind of like sit still. That's kind of the energy here. You have a little bit of of like a peacefulness here, but most of the energy isn't really of sitting still. It's of like you being like an encourager. You might be a person who speaks well to a lot of people or does a lot of uplifting a lot of people because you got this nurturing energy here, and it's an abundance of it. So you do a lot of uplifting of people and a lot of like calming people down, but it's just the energy of you being a bit, you know, movie, like, you know, almost like an air sign. So you could be an air sign as well, even though I'm getting Virgo and Cancer here, but you could, and Sagittarius, but you could very much be an air sign or just be more so someone who's very good at communicating or very good at talking and who does a lot of thinking and deeper introspection, all right? Because that's what you got here. Then it's like the way that you communicate with people, though, isn't always on like the super deepest level when you first initially meet them. It's more on like a level that's kind of like, it's not superficial, but it's like, you know, just grazing the surface of getting to know them. Like you'll ask some important questions, enough that you can remember them. And so people get the vibe of you being, you know, maybe possibly being a bit deeper with the way that you approach people, or it's an energy of them like not quite knowing uh, where you guys stand. You know, if that makes sense, because that's kind of like where it's at with this Four Swords and this Hermit. It's like not really being at peace within themselves, so they're not quite sure where they stand after your interactions. You know, and this Seven of Swords in reverse as well as part of that energy. If you putting it here, it would still be part of that energy of like a self-deception of not being quite sure, of overthinking a situation and really trying to like manipulate it to be in their favor, you know, or not quite sure where. It's just more of an energy of not quite sure where they stand when they meet you. All right. But they feel you as being very abundant, very outgoing, I'm not going to say charismatic, but it could be charismatic, but you're just very outgoing, very nurturing, very loving, soft, gentle, confident within yourself, and very intuitive in terms of the needs of other people and in terms of yourself as well. But you're like a person, I guess, whenever they communicate with you, you're a person who helps revise like the ideas or the things that might have been bothering them. Because I'm looking here with the Four Swords and to clean it up. That'd be an energy of you needing you revising, because it's revision right next to it. So it'd be you revising, you know, issues that people have been dwelling on, contemplating on for a while, and things that they haven't really quite got rid of. So that's probably something that you do is help people, because you got caretaker here too. So you probably help a lot of people with issues in the mental aspect, you know, so you're probably very intelligent. And that's probably the vibe that a lot of people picked up. Like there's just an abundance of like self-appreciation that you have for you. And that's it. People get that vibe like you're a miracle. Like it's really a happiness to meet you. because you got miracle here, and we have encouragement. So there's that energy of people are feeling very encouraged and feeling like they're very happy to meet you because you're very loving, and there's an abundance of energy and like self-respect for you when you show up. So, part one, that was your reading. Thanks for watching. This is your boy Nuni, and this is Leo in the third house. Boom, part two. So, part two. What's your vibe, and how does it make people feel? Let's see if we can. Okay. Ooh, okay. Yeah, okay, you got a good vibe. Got a good vibe. So, the vibe that you have is a principled person, a principled but fair person. You have union, conjunction here, and you have time to release negativity. And I'm seeing the community and expansion here. All right, this is a 1. So it's like this is also like a level of independence, but a principle. Like so, it's like you can stand on your own independence. You can stand on your own beliefs. You're also a person who compromises. So even if your beliefs aren't quite right, you can still honor yourself and express, in expressing that maybe you might have been wrong. Because there's the energy here of the Fool in reverse, which is also being a bit cautious or looking before you leap, like surveying the area, not taking a foolish move, not being so quite impulsive. Sometimes they could also do a folly of making mistakes, but that's usually what people do when they're around you and working with you, because the energy of you being a bit free-flowing, very blissful, a person who honors themselves and their like body. You take care of yourself. People see you as an inspiration. Their vibe, like the vibe that you come off with is of like a peace of like, I'm not here to cause issue. I'm here to help the situation grow. I have like standards. I have principles. I work with you. I do good and union. I do good because conjunction is about helping. Conjunction in an astrological sense is about two planets coming together in order to create like a stronger force. But the way that you get the information or the energy from a conjunction is through complex methods. So it takes a little bit more of like sifting and sorting through like the specifics and the details. So that's the vibe that people get, like exactly how to make things work or how to make things strengthen. You know how to combine energy. So you can see where they might be weak or where they might be strong, and you know how to work together with them. It's a compromise. That's what this compromise is. The compromise is in fire, which has to do with your impulse and your seeds and the things that you plant. So it's like you basically are working together in unison with people. You got community here as well. So people see you as part of like a team or part of a community, like their vibe gives off like friendly, like they know how to be a part of something bigger than themselves, as well as inspiration here. So that's a third eye clarity right here. People see you as finding strength in your purpose. You have expansion in the North Node, which has to do with your destiny going forward. So your vibe is like you're in alignment with where you need to be. Your principles are matching. You're compromising with union or coming together with other people. You're empowering. You're strengthening of other people. They see you as a person who's released the negativity or the past emotional trauma that they dealt with. So it's that vibe of like you're no longer a hurt person who hurts people. That makes sense because you honor yourself now. That's right in the middle with compromise and principles, as well as this Queen of Cups in reverse. So yeah, Queen of Cups in reverse could be like a selfish person with her feelings and her emotions. They may not share that cup or they may not offer the cup. It could be also kind of considered as a person who's a bit emotionally manipulative, but that could just be how it's perceived because you're not quite sharing, like always openly sharing your feelings with everyone. It's like something about your principles and the way that you've healed through this emotional negativity. It gives a vibe of like you've learned and now you've expanded your growth. You're on a new journey, But now because I'm looking at this Fool in reverse, this is more about you being cautious and being more aware, maybe of the surroundings, because you also have the Judgment in reverse, and the Judgment is like making bad decisions. So this is the energy that people are in. So it's the energy of them feeling a bit self-conscious of them making bad decisions around you, because you're a very principled person. That's the vibe. People don't want to make a mistake around you. You're a person who honors himself, and you're a person who works well with other people in a pursuit to get the same things that you both want. So you work together in conjunction, and you have community here as well. So you guys are working together, but the energy that you make people feel is the Fool in reverse, Judgment in reverse, and the Queen of Cups in reverse, which is usually not wanting to share their feelings. You make them feel a bit jealous. You know, you make them feel a bit emotionally weak, emotionally vulnerable, right? And in an energy and intent where they're afraid to actually pursue or move forward. You know, so a lot of people like kind of like doubt themselves. There's a self-doubt when you are around. Even though people see that you know how to work together and that you're very compromising, it's something about your principles. Your principles are really strong, and the way that you honor yourself is really strong. You know, so it's like a feeling of bliss. Like you're here. Your vibe makes people feel like you know that you make a difference. All right, it's like you create your own way, and you're doing it with intuition, with principles, and compromising, and union, and invigorating other people. Like this energy right here is the big energy, but like the main energy here is that you're expanding. So they first, from the rip, when they first meet you, they feel like you're going to expand their life, or somehow by knowing you is going to put them on the right path. And then they see that you're very principled, because these are the determining factors. They see that you're very principled and that you compromise and you work well in unions, and you know how to empower and strengthen other people's weaknesses or strengths. It's like you don't overpower people, you work together with them. And so that's how your vibe comes off, is like you know how to work well, because you got community, you got union, you got compromise, yet you got principles. So you're still sturdy and stand on who you are as an independent person, because you've already done the work of healing emotional traumas. So you're not dependent on other people. That's the vibe that you're giving off. That you have a purpose, because I'm seeing here it says purpose, fulfilling a purpose, fulfilling desires, having motivation, community, purpose. This is what people feel from you. They feel like you're in your line of where you're meant to be and where you're meant to go, and that aligning with you would like only be for their best benefit or their highest good. You know, because a lot of people that you probably encounter are in an area of wondering why they're here, like what's their purpose. Like, you know, they're probably in repeated cycles of doing the same things that they've always done. And so you show up as an inspiration because you have principles, and you're able to compromise or basically see where they are and help empower them and strengthen them and move them forward. And so that's the vibe that people just really get, is like you're very invigorating, you're very community or family oriented. It's something about wanting to be like connected with you and union with you, because you know how to compromise, yet you're sturdy, firm, and foundational to them, because of this North Node and because of these principles. You know what I mean? So it's like people know that's like destined in a sense to meet you. Your vibe just means like, hey, you're lucky to meet me. You're welcome. Hello. You know what I mean? It's kind of that vibe. You know, invitation. Yeah, you're very inviting. It's inspiration, invitation, conjunction. This is all these things here is about just you coming together and empowering other people, and other people, like that's the vibe that you give them. Like, here, I'm here to help and be of asset to others. And that's just how people feel about your vibe, pile 2. Dope vibe. We definitely should link up. So this is what I got, pile 2. Thanks for watching. This is your boy Noonie, and this is Leo in the 3rd house. Boom. Pile 3. So, pile 3. What's your vibe, and how does it make people feel? Okay. What's your vibe? So I get a feeling of being a bit comfortable, but not, it's not, okay, it's comfortable in a sense of like, you make people want to regress back to some of their negative habits or their negative ways of being. You know, you kind of like, and it's not negative in a sense of like bringing them down. It's more in a sense of like things they were afraid to face, like, you know, old habits and patterns they were afraid to face or look at in a different perspective. Because you have, as this determining factor, the first card for me would have been the fluidity, or the outer core, which has to do with not being rigid in your way of thinking. You know, so people are seeing you as a person who's not being rigid in your way of thinking in terms of dealing with your karmic past or dealing with your South Node behavior, which is repeated negative patterns. You know, so you kind of like call a spotlight on it. You know what I mean? They see you as a person who takes your commitment serious, who takes the things that you go after serious, your mental, like, so I got solution here, your flower. So it's the things that you work on, your ideas, you take your ideas serious. People feel like that's the vibe that you give off, like whatever it is that you're speaking on, or whatever you think about in terms of like negativity or limitations, that you take them very seriously. Something about your beliefs are just a bit fluid. You know, it's also this vibe of you. You could be a male, but you have feminine attributes, or you could be a female, but you have more masculine attributes, where you come off, you know, where it's like a you come off. I forgot what that word is called, but you know, it's kind of like a flip floppy. You know, you're catching them from their thinking, like, you know, you show up as a man and you show up with more feminine attributes, or you have more feminine understanding, and or you show up as a female and you have more masculine understanding than the men. You know, and that's kind of how they pick you up as, you know, and it kind of like puts people in like, either it pushes them into like their old habits or their old way of being, or it pushes them back into like a comfort zone of when they felt powerless, because you also have the emperor here. You know, so a lot of people feel like you take their power from them, or like you basically you kind of like open up childhood wounds. Your vibe brings up a level of insecurity within people. There's like a level of insecurity that comes up because of like childhood wounds, childhood behaviors, because something about you is very sturdy, very solid, and you're committed to getting things done. You're very committed to finding solutions to problems, more so from like your old habits. So people see you as a person who works at your, or like, who has solutions to like unfinished business, or like old patterns and old behaviors that you once had. They might, some probably view you as being a bit passive and kind of sweeping things under the rug, or just being very spiritual and just, you know, allowing spirit to take over these situations. But I'm getting that most of your commitment and most of the things that you're into are like healing your past, your trauma. So you might do a lot of talking about it. You might be a person who is open to like new opportunities in terms of like new ways to heal yourself, new ways to express your feelings or express patterns. Like, it's just, you're open to new ways of breaking the mold, or breaking the like your past, breaking those old traditional habits that you had. And so the vibe that people get from it is that you're like very fluidless. You're very I want to say very tapped in emotionally, you know, because you have a lot of feminine energy here, except for the emperor and except for the fool. But you also have the empress, so it's a lot more feminine energy here. So it's well balanced, and that's what this card is representing. It's like well balanced. You know, you have a lot of and you have like the purple here, so you have purple, and then you have crown chakra here as well, and we have a little bit of sacral chakra here. I mean, a little bit of root chakra here. So there's like a level of groundedness that people get from you as well, but it's still like a free flowing in the way that you're like putting yourself out there to the world. You're not just, you know, a female, or you're not just a masculine. You know, you're more of like you're emulating. You're not emulating. You're emanating both both sexes, or both energies, masculine and feminine. That's like a perfect balance here in this situation. You know, so we got the higher power here, which is your four. This is your level of stability. So they're seeing you as more of a spiritually guided type of person, you know, who's able to like basically like kind of like walk on water, because that's what she's doing. But they're seeing you as like, and the water in this sense would be your karmic past, or your karmic patterns, or those behaviors that were negative that you found a solution to. So these might be people who've already known. Yeah, these are people who've known you already from the past, because there's Six of Cups. So these are probably people who've known you already in the past, and you might have letting them go already. And this is the vibe that you might be giving off these days, that you're very committed to releasing childhood wounds or childhood behaviors, old things that were once holding you back and keeping you unstable with this Empress and reverse energy. So it's like you're taking a leap of faith into these things. So Queen of I mean, like I said, Queen. It's not Queen, but this the Empress, you know, is the energy of being comfortable, as well as like being suited, having all that you need. There's an abundance, and so that's kind of like what you're doing here. It's like taking this new leap, you know, and people like, they get the vibe that you're basically like jumping into healing childhood wounds, maybe because of this conversation, or because they already know you, you know. But you're seeing life with a new potential. You're seeing new potential in a lot of situations. So it's like you got your heart chakra here, so you've been working on your heart chakra. That's a bigger thing here. The heart chakra is like about receptivity, because you got yin here too. It's in reverse, but this just means that spirit is basically still giving to you what it is that you need. So your needs are being met. And that's the vibe that people are getting, like your needs are being met, and they feel like they're being met through spirituality and through you healing your karmic past. And so there's a fluidity to you, like I said, because you're not just being masculine or just being feminine. You're actually molding or melting in both, to like you're meshing both aspects of yourself. And so they're seeing you as a well-balanced human being who's actually done the work of emotional trauma and emotional like hurt, and getting outside of your comfort zone. They see that you're committed to that. You know, you're committed to finding solutions and answering problems and questions that you have, and you're open because you got opportunity here. And when the heart chakra here, it means that you're receptive or open to receiving. And so you're open to receiving solutions from past behaviors and issues you were dealing with, you know, and this is what's allowed you to have this fluidity throughout life to be able to flow gracefully. You have now more of like a graceful spirit. You know, you've released the control here, releasing those childhood wounds here. You know, this is what the Six of Cups is this is what the Six of Cups is meaning in this period. It's like releasing that level of control, this level of my way or the highway, of like trying to force things to be. You know, you're more of a person now who's more receptive. You know, and your commitment, and in this sense, the commitment would be tested towards you and your growth and your actual healing process. So that's how people view you, as a person who's very, they're getting that vibe that you're very much into like your healing process, and focusing on getting rid of those karmic past and those karmic ties and those bonds that, you know, were keeping you stuck and stagnant, you know, and not able to move forward. And you're basically believing in a higher power to do this because of this right here. So it's giving you this level of abundance and a level of fearlessness, because the fool can give you a level of fearlessness when it comes to like venturing out. And so that's what it is. It's like a level of fearlessness, and you're going right back here into this Six of Cups in reverse, which is dealing with childhood issues, you know, childhood patterns, you know, conflict. So people get the vibe that there's a conflict still. So it's like, so you're still dealing with some of the issues. That's the vibe they get, that you're still dealing with those issues and you're conflicted, but they see you, it's like a balancing act. They see you being balanced in it and like dealing with it through a higher power. That's the vibe that they're getting. Like you're dealing with, either you're very spiritual, you know, and they believe that your spirituality is helping you balance out these issues that you've been dealing with from, you know, childhood, or from, yeah, it would be from childhood because it's Six of Cups. So it'd be from like childhood, or just from like past behaviors that you've always done as maybe family patterns or whatnot. What they see you as being very dedicated and committed to the actual test, or very committed to the solutions and to your problems and actually working through them. They see this as an opportunity. They're viewing you and they're feeling your vibe as a person who's dealing with this, you know, in a, like a peaceful state, in a peaceful way, just more so with a higher power. They feel like you're just finding the solutions through either dealing with a higher power, or you're finding the solutions through mental stimulation and focusing on yourself, because your commitment is being tested is also about focusing on yourself. All right, and the Empress could be that too. She can also be comfortable alone, unless she has a equal mate. So that might be something there. But they just feel like you're a little bit conflicted because of what you're dealing with. You know, they know, I guess they know what you're dealing with those childhood wounds. So they just feel like you're a little bit conflicted, like inner confliction. So, pile 3, that's what I got. That's your boy Noonie, and this is Leo in the third house. Thanks for watching. Boom, pile 3. Pile 4. Pile 4. So, pile 4, what's your vibe and how does it make people feel? Okay, so people see you as more of like a loner, and maybe conflicted about long-term friendships, relationships, or really committing to people. They feel like you feel like the vibe is like you only attract what it is that you want. It's kind of an energy of you being not on guard. It is on guard. All right, that's what I'm looking at, because it's conflicting energy, right? Because the energy of you only attracting what it is that you want, and only attracting those things that vibe with who you are, because you have magnetism here, which has to do with attracting the same energy that you are. So maybe you're a person who could be a bit, the vibe comes off as a person who's a bit vindictive maybe, or a person who is quick to end things, you know, because you do come off kind of guarded. You know, like you observe people. The vibe is more like if you watching people, of you being like on guard. You got 5 of Swords here, Judgment here. People feel like you're going to judge them. That's really the energy here. Like you're gonna judge them, like whether they're. It's an energy of them wondering whether they're good enough to be around you, whether they're of your type, of your kind, of whether they're of your tribe. You know, it's a people. It's like an energy of a vibe of people wondering whether they fit in with you. You know, because you have an energy of like conclusions are within reach, which is about closing cycles out. You know, and then like deciding on whether to start it again or wait on it to flow back into your favor or moving on. And you give this energy of like, because you got it right next to the Five of Swords and Judgment of making decisions about people. It's almost like you feel you only attract what is really good for you. And people feel like that's the view, that's the vibe that they get from you. Like you only attract what's good for you. And if you're not attracted to them, they feel like they're not good enough for you. It's like you made a judgment for them. And then you have the Nine of Pentacles right next to the Judgment. Nine of Pentacles is about being happy and comfortable alone, stable within self. It's a self-realization in terms of stability. It's like in reverse, it would be codependency, and the upright, it's a independency, but it's also a level of understanding interdependency. And so people see you as being comfortable alone and feeling, and they view like you only attract what's really good for you. But when they're not attracted to you, or if you're not attracted to them, or you're not open or receptive to them, and there's no harmony, they feel like you'll close them out. There's a view they're viewing you, or they feel like like you've made a decision, like you're a judge, or like you're someone of higher authority, like you have a choice or a say in their life if you don't want them there. Because people want to have harmony with you, but there's an energy, that vibe that you might be slightly guarded and that you're watching them from a distance with this observer. And it's like this observer also represents a changed perspective. So sometimes you might be watching people and your feelings, your feelings might change. People get the vibe that maybe your feelings might change after observing them for too long. Because it's a magnetism here, and the magnetism does with that attraction, and it's right in the middle, and it usually comes from an energy of you attracting people who are similar to you, so you're a bit guarded, and so there's an energy of them wanting to be harmonious with you, but it's like you're guarded, and you seem a bit fiery or a bit aggressive, if that's what I mean. But it's you, because you got community here, so they do see you still as like friendly but guarded, like, so you watch people from like a distance. The vibe is like, I see you, you see me, we work together, we're cool, we're social, but at the same time, I don't know if you're my people. I haven't made quite the judgment on you. And that's the vibe that people get. Like you haven't quite made the judgment on them. Like you're kind of slow to commit. You're slow to commit to being friends. You're slow to commit to being lovers. You're slow to commit to, new opportunities with people is the vibe that they get. It's like you're kind of like guarded. You're a person who will walk away or defend yourself. It's like a mental confliction because it is this Five of Swords here right next to attraction. So it's like you attract good situations, but you also can attract bad situations here. And it's more so this energy of you still healing. And so people feel like that they view you as needing to heal. Like that vibe comes off as like you're healing. So you're guarded and you kind of like are slow to allow other people to come in. You could be an Aquarius, you could be a Sagittarius. That's the energy I'm getting here. Or that's the energy I'm getting here, but you don't have to be. That's why I didn't really mention signs in the last two readings, because it's more about like the actual energy. But they get it off as you like not a person who really commits, or you're not a person who right away gives people your love or affection or attention. You're more about a person who's guarded. It's like you're giving yourself time out to decompress and get rid of stress. And people feel like you're a person who will walk away and end things, call judgment on them, and be comfortable alone. And that's the view, that's the vibe that they pick up from you, as being independent of your own and being a bit guarded and afraid of other people, just a bit watchful or a bit curious about the people who are around you. It's like you'll be within a crowd of people, but you'll still be independent. You'll be like on guard to defend yourself if needed be. And it's just come from an area of you needing to judge, of you needing to heal. And so you come from a place of like, it seems like a judgy place. That's how people are, they feel about your vibe. It's like they feel like you're judgy of them, and that maybe they may not add up to you or equate to what you expect them to be. Kind of similar to pile 3. I think it was pile 3, but it's kind of similar to that. But this one is more of like you being guarded. And so people feel like they're not trustworthy to you. So there's that energy. Like people feel like maybe you won't commit to them, or you won't allow them into your life. Because you got community here with commitment, and next to attraction, observer. An observer represents having to change perspectives, with emotions in terms. And so that might be what you're doing. You might be watching people to get a clearer perspective or clearer view of who they are. And people feel a bit judged by you because of you being a bit guarded and not so openly sharing of your feelings and emotions, or so quick to commit or getting to long-term friendships or relationships. They want you to be more open and receiving of them in your heart space, but you're just probably taking time out to heal and decompress and focus on your body and your mind and, your finances, just focusing on the things that make you feel more harmonious and balanced within yourself. Because conclusion or within reach is one of the determining factors, and it represents closing doors on cycles that that weren't really doing the best for you, and either sitting outside the door crying and moping about it or moving on. And so that's kind of like the conflict where you're at, where you're still kind of like, people get the vibe that you're still kind of hurt from situations that happened prior, but you're moving on, but you're defensive of anybody that comes in newly because you don't want that situation to still happen. You're still kind of raw from what happened in the past. Though you're happy independently, the energy is like when they first meet you, or when they encounter you, or like how you're coming off right about now is the energy of like, I'll cut you off if you're not, if I feel or I deem you not worthy of my time or effort. And that's the vibe that you're giving off right about now, that you're not receptive to other people and you're not willing to work with other people or harmonize with other people. Like, conclusions are within reach, and you'll shut this shit down pretty much, but they're feeling like the vibe is like you need a little bit more healing, that you need to work through some other issues, that you need some forgiveness, because judgment can also represent forgiveness, of either ending some past wounds or past cycles, or rehashing them and restarting them back up. So you could be like in between that. People get you as being in between of either wanting to work back with old relationships or work back into old situations that didn't quite work for you, or moving on into newer pastures, newer opportunities. So they see you as like being conflicted. And that's the energy I was picking up in the very beginning. So, Power 4, that's your reading. Thanks for watching. This is your boy Noonie, and it's Leo in the 3rd house. Yo, thank y'all, man. Thank y'all for always being here, always getting it down with your boy. I appreciate y'all very much. I'll be doing the best I can. This is an exciting journey. Thank y'all for all the times that y'all be picking up on the little moves that I be doing, like the little bit of changes I be doing to the aesthetics, and y'all peep it. I'll be so happy. I'll be so happy. It's beautiful. This whole thing is beautiful, y'all. Thank you. Okay, y'all. I'm out.